Welcome back to The Trade. I'm Gina Beck.
This is Drew Williams.
Thank you for listening, liking, commenting, and subscribing. We appreciate y'all, especially the reviews on Apple Podcasts. It really means a lot.
Yeah, and like always, thank you again for the continued support, the continued engagement, and the hashtag Banana Cats. Thank you, guys.
All right. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing all right. G, how are you?
I'm doing well. Ready to jump into this episode. I wanted to talk about something that happened in Milwaukee. A Milwaukee Children's Court judge and father of two with ties to Drag Queen Story Hour was arrested after allegedly being caught with video showing children, officials said. Milwaukee Circuit Court Judge Brett Bloom, 38, was charged with 7 counts of possession of child pornography on Wednesday. A day after his arrest, each count carries a maximum fine of $100,000 and 25 years in prison, or both, and each has a mandatory minimum sentence of 3 years of initial confinement. Bloom is the former president of the Cream City Foundation, which hosts Drag Queen Story Hour, a children's event in which drag queens read to children. The allegations are alarming. Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett said in a statement, the reports of the arrest came as a complete surprise. Bloom allegedly uploaded several images of pornography through a messaging app in October and November 2020, including videos of male. Authorities, according to the charging documents, began the investigation in February after receiving a tip from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children that Kik messaging app user uploaded videos consistent with pornography through the app 27 times. The special agent assigned to Bloom's case received content and subscriber information for the brett.bloom@gmail.com Google account. According to the subscriber information, the name of this Google account user was listed as Brett Bloom with a date of birth of June 11th, 1982. A recovery email also that was linked to him, bloom39@yahoo.com. According to charging documents, 2 of the images were allegedly uploaded from the government buildings. Due to the ongoing investigation and pending case, I am unable to comment, Milwaukee County Chief Judge Mary Treganio said in a statement according to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Judge Bloom's court calendar will be covered by another judge as needed starting Wednesday. Bloom was elected to the court during the spring of 2020 after he defeated incumbent Circuit Court Judge Paul Dinsky. Prior to his time as a judge, Bloom was the head of the Zoning Appeals Board for the city of Milwaukee, a position he reached by appointment from the mayor. Drag Queen Story Hour, Milwaukee Executive Director Jonathan Hamlet, distanced his organization from the Cream City Foundation and Bloom. Drag Queen Story Hour Milwaukee has never been run by either, he told the Washington Examiner, adding that neither have ever participated in planning, organizing, hosting, or performing at any of our events. Bloom has never held a title or position within our organization ever, Hamel said. Cream City Foundation has only ever been a fiscal sponsor that allows DQSH Milwaukee to give and receive funds as a nonprofit. Aside from financials, they have had no part in DQSH Milwaukee and DQSH National, he added. As the leaders of DQSH Milwaukee and DQSH National, we absolutely condemn. We're angry and outraged by Brett's actions. It has no place in the LGBT community and no place in society as a whole. The Cream City Foundation did not respond to the Washington Examiner's request for comment. I mean, this brings us back to what? The first episode? We talked about...
What, the Desmond
was it
the Amazing?
First or second? Yeah, Desmond, yeah. It's like...
Yeah, I was to say he wasn't involved with Drag Queen Story Hour, but that whole scene seems to have a small percentage of very, very terrible people. Like,
that always want to involve kids. I don't understand. Why do you always want to involve kids in y'all's events? Just have your own adult events. Like, That's what it just goes for so many things though. Like, why do kids have to be involved in certain things? Like, y'all just keep the adult stuff with the adults and the kid stuff with the kids. Kids should be playing sports and doing plays and, stuff like that. Like, a drag queen play, cool, but it should be hosted and then go home, not hosted and have like one-on-one time or any kind of like stuff like that. Like, story times is kind of intimate, so I feel like that's okay in a certain setting when parents are around, but like, say after the story time, is the parents just taking their kid and leaving? Is there one-on-one time? Is there coloring time? Is there a playground time? Like, I don't understand how there's room for this to happen unless people are not paying attention and kids have too much access to a human that they don't even know. So therefore, quit involving kids in y'all's events, and if you do, don't go any further than what the event is about. And parents, know what the heck you're making your kid be involved in. Like, oh my gosh, like, this is just blows my mind and makes me angry because people should just be smarter.
Well, this isn't the first time that this what's their acronym? DQSH they had multiple people that were actually reading to the kids that had backgrounds that were not acceptable to be around kids at all. So it seems like, I'm not saying
So it was a well-known thing to at least someone.
it seems like they have problems throughout the entire organization with, I mean, maybe that person really does condemn, but the
That's like
action.
allowing your church pastor to get away with and have youth group every Wednesday and host it for children. It's like this
It's the
not
exact same
okay.
thing. It's the exact same scenario. I mean, that's not okay. I hate to laugh, but it's just, we live in clown world. Everything is so backwards
Or what
right
if
now.
you, as a parent, found out your kid's teacher was a pedophile and the school district didn't do proper background check, or they did and they knew about it and didn't care and still allowed them to teach your children? I mean, at this point, it's getting to the time where you got to take matters into your own hands and do research yourself. And hey, my kid's teacher or daycare person or babysitter or happy hour story reading time person, their name is, John Doe or Christina, whatever. And you can take that information and you can Google their name and you can find so many things off of a Google search or off of a phone number if you have their phone number. So just know that. You can do your own research and you can really use the internet and apps that are specifically for background checks. Pay the $9.99 a month. Do a background check. It's worth it to
Yeah,
protect
if
your
you got
kids.
children, $10 a month is way worth it to check the people that are going to be around. And then there's also free stuff, watchdog.org. You can figure out who's around you, because if they're doing something locally, chances are they live in the area anyways. And if they've committed crimes and been convicted, they're going to be on watchdog.org.
Can't on Watchdog can you type in a direct address or is it just like neighborhood? I'm pretty sure you can type in a direct address.
Well, I believe that, well, you can type in your address and it brings up everything directly around you, and then you can zoom out just like on Google Maps, and it just shows, the more you zoom
Right.
out, it shows there's either red dots, yellow dots, or purple dots, depending on the severity of the crime.
Very useful. Very useful for sure.
Yeah, we'll be sure to link that again. We need to start linking that more often. I've got a little bit of a This is kind of a crazy story. Me and G just watched. Well, we're gonna link the video in too, because it's kind of a layered story, and it's very strange. The different responses from the U.S., how most Americans would respond to this, compared to how I perceive the UK responding to this. This is from Wales Online. This was reported back in January. Violent past of Tom Carney and the long history of his victim. Former rugby player Tom Carney threw his life away and was convicted of repeated offenses, while the man he murdered had a record of habitual offending against men going back 3 decades. Tom Carey, 29, repeatedly snapped a 76-year-old David Phillips head on Valentine's Day 2019 after going to the victim's Neath home to exchange favors for alcohol. The 29-year-old was on Thursday found guilty of murder following a trial at Swansea Crown Court lasting almost 3 weeks. But while the one-time promising sportsman's latest offending is unquestionably the most serious, it is by far from his first. During his trial, prosecutors Patrick Hartington told the jury, "The fact is, Thomas Carey has thrown his life away, thrown away his career as a rugby player where he could have achieved great things. He has the discomfort of knowing he is one of those might have beens." The killer has a history record. They're all just, nightclub fight type things, stealing wine, things like that. Carney has previously been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, which can be reported for his time, he says, is the result of abuse he suffered as a boy between the ages 5 and 9. The person he names as his denies the abuse ever happened. For legal reasons, we are unable to report these details until now. While Carney was no longer a stranger to the courts, his pensioner victim had a long history of sexual behavior towards young men. At the time of his death, Mr. Phillips was subject to a prevention order at the time of having assaulted a boy in Neath Town Center in 2016, but his history of offending goes back 30 years. 1991, Swansea Crown Court convicted of serious acts, assault and gross injury. Phillips a 15-year-old boy in minutes before assaulting him. In 1999, Swansea Court convicted him of assault with intent to commit a serious assault and indecent. Phillips met a man at a bar in Swansea and brought him drinks before taking him home. There he gave the victim a quantity of tablets which made the man drowsy before performing acts on him and attempting to him. 2016, the court convicted him of after meeting an 18-year-old man at a bus stop. He persuaded to go home with him on the pretense he needed to work. Once at the house, Phillips gave alcohol, kissed him, and put his browser. Sorry, this is a little hard to read because it's UK English, and it makes me feel a little bit stupid. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to get there. 2016, Swansea Court convicted him after buying goods from a shop in Neath. He asked a 16-year-old male shop assistant to help him carry them to the taxi. There he hugged the boy, made comments, and tried to entice him back to his house. So this guy, Tom Carney, is a victim that, yeah, you probably should go to jail because you can't stab people in the face and throat in the genital areas. But at the same time, seems like karma catching up with the guy that got killed.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that. I think I understand the law, but if I recall, you said that the public, like civilians, are angry about it as well. They're mad about him doing it.
Well, if you read other articles, which we can link, the way the UK articles presented it, it's just more like this young guy beat up an old man. Like they don't explain how he was his sponsor. He was using his power position probably to do this to a bunch of other alcoholics. He has a history of doing all these other things. They just are totally focused and I get it. It's a grotesque act, but they're leaving out the whole fact that this guy was a complete monster for like 70 plus years or something like that.
Yeah, so if the article was more honest, it could save more people. Just like anything else, I think the news and media should definitely be more honest and give details like that. It doesn't go against their community guidelines. They're the ones that come up with the community guidelines, I feel like. So why not put that information out there? Is it to protect people's minds from what really happens and what really goes on in the world? Probably. But I think in order for change to happen, which is probably something that a lot of people suppress, it should be talked about more and explained thoroughly. I mean, this is a great segue into something crazy that happened in Shelby County, Texas. A registered sex offender in Shelby County has been arrested again. The sheriff's office the reports Robert Bradley Lindsay, 58, of Center, was arrested March 9th after a team executed a search warrant at Lindsay's home. The search revealed he was in possession of pornography. Lindsay is a registered sex offender with the sheriff's office. During the investigation, officials were able to identify various violations on Lindsay's registration and charged him with 3 violations. He was booked into the Shelby County Jail on 2 counts of possession of and 3 counts of failure to comply with registration requirements with a previous conviction. It just, he's got a bond set at nearly $1 million. It's just, again, you know, it's happening again. It's like something my best friend said. Men just can't control themselves. Not all men, but men like this man, and many others that we talk to all the time, that's not an excuse. That is a fact, and it's a disgusting fact. And say you're at a birthday party, and this man looks like everybody's grandpa, and he's sitting in the corner looking at all the kids. Like, it just is. It's as something as in plain sight as that, and it happens all the time. I've told the story of a childhood family friend dressing up as an ape, a gorilla, and showing up to weddings and birthday parties and letting the kids sit on his lap. Years later, he's in prison for doing acts such as things in this article and other things that we talk about. But all those years, he was looked at as the fun, happy uncle, cousin, brother, nephew at all of the events with this costume, making the kids laugh. And that is one of the biggest tactics there are in order to get sympathy and attention and kids on your lap. I mean, come on. It's disgusting. So many things to be aware about, and just know who you're allowing around your children, whether it's family, friends, teachers, anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, be aware who you're around, but the thing is you might not know till it's already happened, and that's the sad truth of all of it.
Exactly. Things like that happen every day, unfortunately. And it, like I said, it's disgusting. It's something that these men can control, but choose not to. That's what I think. I think you can control it. They choose not to control it. I just don't get how you can physically put your tools into something and think, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't want to do that. Shut up. Yeah, you did. You definitely did. It took a lot of steps to get there. You wanted it. Next. Until next time, banana cats. Love y'all.
Banana cats, much love. Peace.